As we approach Easter, I've been thinking a lot about our culture and the questions that often are asked during Easter. Who is the real Jesus? After so many years, you'd think we'd finally have an answer. But maybe a more important question is, do we need Jesus? Now, I'm a pastor. I'm going to say, yes, we need Jesus. But not everyone feels that way. Our culture often doesn't feel that way. Don't need what he has to offer. Don't believe he is who he says he is. Well, what do we need? And the series has been looking at that and the things that we need. Does Jesus offer anything as it relates to those needs? We need truth. We need beauty. We need mercy. We need love, and perhaps Jesus explains most fully why we need love. I want to read something from 1 Corinthians. It's a familiar passage, probably to almost everybody in our culture, but puts the spotlight on love in a way that I think is different than our culture thinks of love. Let me read it for you. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Well, beginning in chapter 12, verse 31, and then reading into 13. Paul is talking about the great things that God has to offer. And he says, I will show you a still more excellent way. If I speak in the tongues of men and angels, and there's the phenomenon that we often call glossolalia, could be spiritual gifting to actually speak in human tongues, or it could be an ecstatic utterance of some sort. If I speak in the tongues of men and angels, which was a fantastic sign of God's work, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends, doesn't quit. As for prophecies, these fantastic things that people are enabled to do spiritually, as for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part, but when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known. So now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love. In our day and age, whether we're talking about a secular organization or the church, who are we looking for to fill the positions, fill leadership? Well, we're looking for people of accomplishment, people who are impressive and who have gifts and abilities. Even in the church, that's the way we tend to think about these things. We're looking for people who impress us. They'll attract a crowd. Again, gifts and accomplishment look like the very thing we need. In fact, it looks like, wow, there is something spiritual going on there. It looks like maturity and power. But that's not the way that Paul sees it. Not to say anything negative about those giftings or accomplishments. It's just not enough. If I speak in the tongues of angels and men, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. Later he says, if I do all these wonderful things, have knowledge and sacrifice, but have not love, I gain nothing. Charismatic, smart, insightful, people of conviction, people of sacrifice. These are impressive people. We should have them in the ministry, right? But the thing is that may only mimic spiritual maturity. But we're so drawn to charismatic people, the movie star, the well-spoken politician, the dynamic preacher. I'm drawn to it as well, without commenting on my own politics or even this particular politician I'm about to mention. I think J.D. Vance is an amazing communicator. He can handle on the fly, attacks and arguments and really make his case. I'm glad people have amazing talents. Talent is good. But talent is not enough, at least not in the church. What is the essential, vital ingredient? It's love. Even these supernatural giftings, speaking in tongues, prophecy, they're going to pass away. They're not lasting. In fact, Paul implies that our desire, our insistence on seeing people who can perform amazing signs and can really impress us is actually a sign of a kind of immaturity. When I was a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I grew up, when I became a man, I put childish things aside. These impressive skills, talents, spiritual gifting even, they are a scaffolding meant to help build the real thing and then to fall away. What does endure? Faith, hope, and love. The Lord is building something, and we ought not get distracted with the tools that we help to build it, but He's changing His people, conforming them to the character of Christ, making them kind, gentle, self-controlled, loving. And so, while we may be looking in our churches or other organizations, the people that most impress us, the thing that matters most to the Lord is the character, is love. Are you seeking to build that within yourself? Are you seeking that in others? Because that's what the Lord wants to do. I hope you'll seek it this week. Blessings on you all.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will always hurt me. Bones mend and become actually stronger in the very place they were broken. Mental wounds can grind and ooze for decades and be reopened by the quietest whisper. Words are powerful. It's an implicit truth in our faith. We look at the creation of the world. How did God create? He spoke it into being. Let there be light. How did God redeem the world? Through the incarnate Word, Jesus Christ. Now, we don't have that kind of power, but we do reflect the image of the divine, and there's no denying the power that we have with our words to either heal or to hurt. So the question for us is, how will we use our words? How will we use our communication? And maybe even better than that question is one not asking about the end results, but the fountain of our words, asking about our heart, our character. What does our speech, the use of our tongue, the use of our words reveal about us? Is there a sickness there? Is there a bitterness, shame, a guilt that's spilling out in our words to other people? Or is the Lord working redemption, forgiveness, kindness, gentleness, love? Is your tongue untamed, setting the world on fire, as James talks about it in chapter 3 of his letter? Or are we using our tongue to bless? You know, there's a word that we use in our worship from the Latin benediction. It literally just means good saying, a good word. And it's a blessing. The last thing God says to us is that I go with you and I bless you. I want good things for you. Will we do the same with our words? Will we bless the people around us in the way we speak? I hope we all have the wisdom to do that. Blessings on you all.